What up, nation? Welcome to another edition of the WiseTake NBA DFS Wise stream. CK013 here. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013. And I, of course, am from the WiseTake Nation, which you can find on all the social media platforms listed above. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe, hit the notifications bell so you're notified whenever we do go live. We are a premium DFS content provider designed to help make you a better DFS player. We're also a DFS community. And community is the key word there. It's definitely a big one. Welcome if you are new. If you guys can, if you haven't already, please hit that like button. I know some of y'all were proactive hitting that like button. Really helps us out, goes a long way, allows us to continue to do the free content which we want to do. If you want to give us some extra support, you can check us out at WiseTake.com. We offer day passes to get a hold of our projections, cheat sheets, any articles that we put out to help you along the way. And of course, we have a Slack chat for our monthly membership or higher members. We also have the super chat activated on YouTube. So if you want to show your support, there's several ways you can do it. But at the very least, what would help us the most is if you guys hit that like button. So please hit the like button. It allows us to continue to do content for free. I'm seeing some of you guys pile in. Shout out to Tejish. What's up, bro? Boy, Tony Overla. Yo. William Crudup. What's up? Same. Good to see you guys. Good to see everybody piling in here, guys and gals, all alike. As long as you're here to play some NBA DFS, you're more than welcome. And even if it's just something you're considering, you're more than welcome. This slate is totally different from what we were looking at earlier. It literally changed at the moment we went live. Aaron Gordon just got ruled out. So just to kind of recap, we did the early look, which is something we do Monday through Friday. Try to do Monday through Friday when it's time. We know that Porzingis is ruled out. I talked about that in the early look. I figured that it would be a good opportunity for them to do that. They played him even in moments yesterday that they didn't need to, so that kind of tipped me off that maybe they were going to rest him today. Zach LaVine is doubtful. That's wild, right? It's going to open things up. Can Chicago hang around long enough for guys like Luka and whoever to do dirties? We know LMA was doubtful. That wasn't something that changed. We know that Andre Drummond is now doubtful, and Thompson's already out. So they just became a lot more thin in the front court. It's referring to Cleveland. So a lot going on. Like I said, Aaron Gordon just got ruled out. So that's not even something that I even updated in our projections yet. I'll try to update it as we go along. And we'll check it out when we get over to that game. Courtney Parker in the chat. What's up, bro? What's up, man? Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Long time listener. I recognize the name. Real recognize real. And we get more and more news, guys. Cam Redish is officially doubtful. So more and more news. We'll take it as we come. When we go across the games, I'll do what I can to do a rough estimate and kind of just get the projections on the fly. And then, of course, on the transition, when we go to part 2, we take a little break to bring on Paulie. We'll make some updates officially to the projections for those of you who use them at WiseTake.com. This way you have the latest and greatest. And as always, we're going to take you up into lock with the second part of the show to make sure you have as much news as possible. And it looks like we need it because there's a lot of news. The slate's constantly changing as we speak. Like I said, totally different slate from what we were going over earlier. So hopefully those of you that were with us earlier, you have an idea, you have a baseline, and as the changes were necessary, they kind of popped up and you were able to keep up. But if not, that's what we got you for. Juice. What up, Juice? Juice says, sup, everyone. Y'all ready for Monday Takedown? I'm ready, right? Monday Night War. Let's go. Tejas, Cam Reddish really proving everyone wrong. I feel you. All right, guys. We got 7 games to get through, and I already have a couple things that we have to make adjustments to. I'm going to make a note so when we come across that situation, I don't forget. So we know Cam Reddish we have to make adjustments for. And then, of course, Aaron Gordon we'll make adjustments for. But in the meantime, we're going to start off with the first game. Oh, Tejas is a Hawks fan. That's rough, bro. I'm a Knicks fan. At least you guys got Trae Young. Not a whole lot I'm excited about on my end. But I feel you. Cody Mayfield, what's up, guys? What's up, Cody? Good to see you, bro. Good to see you, man. Again, guys, if you haven't hit the like button, please hit the like button. They really help us out. Goes a long way. With that said, let's get into the first game. We've got the Utah Jazz visiting the Cleveland Cavaliers. We have a 222 total that's actually up from 219. The Jazz opened up -8.5. They're up to -9.5. Obviously, Cleveland, one of the worst teams in the game. Jazz considered a playoff team, even though I think they're a little suspect, to be honest with you. But, hey, it happens. With that said, let's take a look at the schedule. Jay Irv does a free schedule notes article for us at WiseTake.com. It's free, so go check it out. You guys should be starting your research with that to find out what teams are on back-to-backs, 4 and 6s. A lot of that sometimes helps to predict who may rest and potential possibilities. And also, even for sports betting, it's a pretty big tool. So make sure you check that article out. It's free over at WiseTake.com. He does it pretty much every day, unless he got some shit going on he's got to take care of in his life, because he's a human being, right? He's human, just like us. Whew, looks like Ian Clark is going to start. All right, well, no time like the present to get into this. So, the Jazz working with 2 days rest. Cleveland working with 1 day rest. They are in the midst of a 4-6, and again, their front court just got a whole lot thinner. So, let's get into it, starting with the Utah side. There wasn't a ton here that I was interested in earlier, aside from Mike Conley, and that's kind of the situation now. A little concerned that Utah may run away with this game. I was concerned with that earlier, and now I'm even more concerned because they're just going to be, Larry Nance and Zizic are going to be the main centers, I think. But with that said, Gobert, you can argue his matchup just got a whole lot better. I think he's interesting price as well. I do like Mike Conley genuinely, based off his price, based off of the matchup. Cleveland's been terrible against guards. And then, I guess the long shot dart kind of play that I could see is Jordan Clarkson. I can kind of see that being a long shot dart type situation. I don't love the price, and his minutes have been down, but while he's on the court, his usage has been massive. This is a little bit of a revenge narrative. He played for Cleveland and was having a hard time actually playing, so maybe he wants to do a little dirty. I'm not sure. That's just more of a narrative thing. But I do genuinely like Mike Conley. I think you can make an argument for Rudy Gobert's matchup. Let me see the exact minutes we got Gobert at and see if there's anything we have to do there. Is it a full 36 or... Let's see. Gobert we have at a full 36. Maybe I give him a little 36.25, just a little boost action to help him out there because the matchup is juicy. Let's see what it does before I move on. It's updating now. So it did raise him. It raised him to a respectable projection. Going on the Cleveland side, Larry Nance just became a phenomenal play, I think. We would anticipate him getting a ton of minutes between the 4 and the 5. I think you could make the same argument for Kevin Porter Jr. We've got them both projected for massive minutes. Remember, they're also missing Darius Garland, so they are a lot thinner than people may think. They are missing Andre Drummond, Tristan Thompson, and Darius Garland, in addition to Dante Exum and some of these other guys. So I do expect them to play a tight rotation. I expect Nance, Porter, Sexton, Love to all get all the minutes they can handle. I think Zizic for value if you need it. Not a guy I'm willing to go too heavy on, but definitely a guy I want to have some of. Then again, we did just get a lot more value opening up with Aaron Gordon being out. Kevin Love, I think, is an interesting tournament option at his price. On FanDuel, he's extremely cheap. On DraftKings, it's really not bad either. Obviously, if there's some sort of blowout, he's probably the first one off the court, which is why I like Kevin Porter and Nance so much, because I think they're at a point where they may have to play these guys. They just don't have bodies, so they may have to play them in the blowout. So Larry Nance and Porter were two players off the gate that I was getting a ton of. And again, even Colin Sexton, I think you can make a strong case for. Obviously, he's young, so I don't think they're too worried about playing him, in a blowout. I think they will just to get him some more run. But Larry Nance, Kevin Porter are definitely two plays I plan on having a lot of exposure to on both sites as some of the stronger value options that we have. And I have been saying it. They said they want to see Kevin Porter run the offense more. They want to see him more aggressive on offense. So this is a perfect opportunity to work him in and give him extra minutes. And I know some of you guys are going to ask about Cedi Osman. I'm fine with that too. I prefer Nance and Porter, but I'm okay with Osman. Anytime a team is thin, that's always the cheat code in DFS. There's blowout potential. I don't think that anyone's off limits to play in a blowout. Matthew Dellavedova is very cheap, but the main guys that I'm looking at are Nance, Porter, then secondarily Sexton and Love, and then I guess third tier status would be like a Zizic Osman. But Nance and Porter are guys right now. When I was running through the teams, I was getting a whole lot of exposure to. Let's go on to the next game, which is I have to make some adjustments, but we're Portland visiting Orlando. So we'll go over a few things here. We have a 221 total. That's down from 223.5, and I don't even think that's reflective of Gordon just yet. The Magic opened up -7, they're down to -6, and again, I don't think that's reflective of Gordon. I think it'll drop even more now that we have the news of Gordon. Looking at the Portland side, I like CJ McCollum once again. We'll have to see if we get there. It's going to be on raw points, not point per dollar, because his point per dollar is not looking all that great on DraftKings. On FanDuel, it's not bad. Obviously, I had to give him a manual boost in addition to the massive minutes to justify the usage difference, the usage uptick he gets with Dame off the court. And Dame's supposed to come back Wednesday, from what I understand, so this should be the last time we got to deal with this McCollum nonsense. But he's really stepping into that Dame role. The difference is Dame is shooting a lot more threes. He gets more assists more readily, more easily, I guess. But McCollum is still taking 20-plus shots a game, and he's still taking the threes. So if he has a little bit more of an efficient day, I think he's better off. Not to mention, I was a little concerned about Orlando beating Portland up because without Dame, Portland's look terrible. But now that they're missing Aaron Gordon, that's a pretty big piece to be missing. So I do think McCallum is interesting. Trevor Ariza, a minutes play. Hassan Whiteside, also a minutes play. I think Whiteside could be in trouble when it comes to covering Vooch around the perimeter. But on the other end of the ball, Vooch is no vaunting defender. So I'm okay with him as well as a potential spend up. Even Melo. I mean, Melo kind of falls lower and lower. We have so many guys above and below him at this point that I don't know how much I get to. And Orlando is a very slow-paced team. Hence the 221 total in a Portland game, which is, for them, pretty low. So with that said, I'm cool with Portland, but obviously we have some better spots. I do genuinely like CJ McCollum. All right, now we got to take a look at Orlando. So what you're seeing now, this is before the injury news, what we had for Orlando. I think that we're going to make some adjustments together. These are rough adjustments. So again, I'm going to reanalyze on the break that transition that we had before the second part of the show and make the necessary changes. I'm going to give a boost to Vooch. Even though I don't think Vooch's minutes go up, I do think his usage will with Gordon off the court. So I'm going to raise him up, which is going to make him one of our top centers. I think he already kind of was. I mean, my initial builds, let me see how much of him I was actually getting. Really only about 10%, which I think is which I think would have been a mistake. So I'm actually kind of glad. That that's the situation at hand. Let's see what else we got to do. I think Terrence Ross, that's a guy they were trying to play more anyway. So I would anticipate he gets a little bit of a boost. We don't want to overreact necessarily. He already projects fairly well, but this is definitely going to help his cause. I mean, I'm going to actually pull up the actual numbers and we'll take a look and see who really benefits the most with Aaron Gordon off the court. No, Isaac. I think that's good. All right, so let's run it. So Terrence Ross, 26.4% usage rate with a 1.04 fantasy points per minute. I think that's pretty solid. Evan Fournier, 27.9% usage rate, 0.97 fantasy points per minute. Vooch, 31.2% usage rate, 1.31 fantasy points per minute. Markelle Fultz, 22.9% usage rate, 0.96. I think this helps Markelle Fultz from a usage standpoint as well. They're going to need offense, man. Aaron Gordon provides a lot of offense for this team, but the biggest benefactors on paper, Terrence Ross, plus 3.7% usage increase. Evan Fournier, plus 3.2% usage increase. Markelle Fultz, plus 2.7% usage increase. Nikola Vucevic, plus 4.5% usage increase. So clearly the largest benefactor. So we're going to do what we have to do to make sure that we get the proper exposure to these guys. We have a lot of studs on this slate that look good. Let's see, move him up. Again, I will be adjusting these again afterwards. But for the time being, did I? No, I got that right. Projected minute 0. Aaron Gordon, I should update. So we knocked Aaron Gordon down to 0. It's doing its thing updating right now. Did I? Oh, yeah. I had a manual boost on him. I got to get rid of that now. Aaron Gordon, where you at, bro? There you are. I think. That should knock him out. That should not. There we go. Got him at 0. The FanDuel. FanDuel, I got a fucking update too. Shit, how about that? Oh, good thing I'm doing this shit live with you guys. Made some mistakes up in here. Yeah, we had him at a 2. And there we have it. There we go. Finally 0. So as you can see, Vooch, really high projection, 5.93x. Terrence Ross, we've got at 5.66. We could probably do a little better for him to incorporate some of that usage increase. Fournier, where's Fournier looking at? Fournier 5.39. So we got some work to do. Again, they are getting somewhat of a pace boost in this situation, and Gordon's usage is pretty big. So that's a substantial piece missing. So I'm gonna raise some of these players a little higher than I maybe normally would, because we have to reflect their actual usage increase. We do know that Gary Clark is going to start. Not sure how many minutes he ends up playing, but he is expected to start, so we'll have to give him some minutes as well. I think we could see James Ennis play a little bit more, who's cheap. Let's go to Birch, I think, also could pick up some extra minutes. He could end up playing some backup time here. So that's something that we want to consider for sure. Let's see here. Let's see. So we'll give Gary Clark, for now, let's just hypothetically give him like 18 minutes and see what that does on his projection. I'm going to check and see what some other sources are giving him just to give us a better idea. Gary Clark. Yeah, he just doesn't project well because he doesn't do much. As you can see, I mean, I gave him 18 minutes and he got 13 points. That's obviously not going to do much for us. If we raise him to even, say, 20, let's see if that makes any kind of difference for us. Reggie Bullock is out as well. Awesome. So I spent that time to make sure he was included and he gets ruled out. So as you can see, there's a lot of guys that are now projecting for close to 6x, if not 6x. Gary Clark's still not really going to do it for us where he's at. Kem Birch, that's a player that I think we're going to want to give minutes to as well. Hard to justify a ton. Hard to justify a ton. Let's see. Wes Iwundu, man, there's a lot of guys now that could potentially be getting minutes here. Let me see. Don't mind my dog if you hear him. He's a puppy and he's acting up today, man. I tell you what, he's acting up today. He is acting up today. All right, Birch. What are we at here? Nothing substantial. Without him starting, it's hard to really give him too much. I mean, I probably wouldn't give him more than like 10 minutes at this point. If he was starting, that'd be a different scenario. He could end up playing. So there could be more here, but keep in mind, we have a lot of value elsewhere that we still have to discuss and get to. But Vooch, Terrence Ross. Maybe I was a little too aggressive on Ross. Vooch, Terrence Ross, Fournier, who's still not really where we need him to be. Let's take a look. These are all guys, again, just to go over the usage rates with you guys. This isn't coming out of nowhere. We already discussed that some of these players, such as Vooch, Markelle Fultz, a lot of these guys are genuinely getting usage increases. So I'll finalize those updates in the break when I have some time to do some research. I don't want to take up too much of your time. We got some games to get through. But Orlando just became a pretty good team to get a lot of exposure to on all different levels. A lot of guys projecting well. We have to make some adjustments. The one player I do want to look into right now is Evan Fournier, 3.2% usage increase. So I'm going to have to exaggerate this for him to reflect where we would need him to be. That's just the bottom line. Oh, he was already there, I think. Yeah, I think I just may have messed that up a little bit. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens on him. No, I think we're good there. All right, let's keep it rolling. A lot of spots we got to get to still. Next game, we've got the Houston Rockets visiting the New York Knicks. Terrible New York Knicks. We have a 230.5 total. The Rockets are currently 10-point favorites at home. Not a lot has changed in this situation. Let's see. As far as the schedule goes, both teams working with a day off. It is technically a 4-6 for the Knicks. So Harden looks like a pretty good stud, and with all the value we have, you may be able to play two. Obviously, Luka's going to be the optimal number one, being that Porzingis is out. But there is some flexibility. There are some ways you can go with this. I think that Harden is still like probably my second favorite stud, and Westbrook's not far behind him. He's been on a tear. And this is the Garden where shooters typically shoot well. Harden is more the shooter, obviously. Eric Gordon for value is okay, but it looks like we have some stronger stuff elsewhere. Covington's price has been elevated. He's played big minutes. At this point, with all the other value we have open, I'm not terribly interested in too much here. It's really Westbrook and Harden, and I think I'll end up with a little bit more Harden at this point. On the Knicks side, Alfred Payton, I do actually like a lot. He did play 36 minutes in his last game. I like the pairing of him and Randall for tournaments. Not a situation where I want to overload. We have a lot of good situations, a lot of other games with higher usage rates and everything like that. So it's not a situation where, I think I want too much, but I definitely want some. So Elf is the main one that I want. Elf is definitely the main one that I want. Again, in this situation, we have some guards on the court. I think that, we could justify some usage there. And I think he'll be needed, especially with DSJ out. So they got Frank Nitty. Maybe Frank Nitty plays some minutes for defense, but I do think that we're going to see Elf play a good amount of minutes and his prices come down. So I do like the correlation with Elf and Randall. Should be a pace-up spot. A little worried about the blowout that could happen, but again, it's tournaments. We want to take some chances, and we know Elf has massive upside. So those are my main 2 players here. I'm not terribly interested in too much else from the Knicks. Go figure. We like I said, maybe before we had some guys to take chances on. We just have better guys in better spots at this point. Going up to the Memphis-Atlanta game. This was a game with the highest projected total on the slate. Starting with the Memphis side. So we have a 240.5 total, up from 238.5. Highest total on the board by far. The Hawks opened up -2. They're still -2. We have a lot of value on Memphis. Do we bail now that we have value elsewhere? I'm not totally sure of that. This game does have the highest total on the board. Atlanta plays terrible defense. They play extremely fast. Both these teams play fast. So I expect a lot of fantasy points. I expect a lot of fantasy production. DeAnthony Melton, I think, is a solid value play. I don't mind Kyle Anderson. The question is, has their prices come up to a point where we have better spots elsewhere? That's something that we have to make a decision on throughout. John Moran has played really well for tournaments. I'm cool with him. He seems to be hot right now. And one thing with me, I like to ride hot players. I mean, I know you can make a meme out of that if you want. Say whatever you will. Dirties and sevens all day. The problem is it can be really hard to project him for any substantial minutes because there's just so much variance in his minutes and his performances and his usage, everything. So in the meantime, I do think he's a fine tournament play. I just gave him a little bit of a boost to see if it'll, see if we end up getting some of him as well. I think that Gorgie Dieng and Joval are both in good spots. I'll probably set some sort of rule to not play them together, to play one or the other, but it's definitely a spot I want exposure to. Joval's price really looking good on DraftKings. The only issue is if he's going to slow their team down and they decide they want to go fast, he could end up getting pulled and they can go a little smaller with Dieng. Dylan Brooks would be the next guy to talk about. Projected for 33 minutes. He's played really well. They like his defense. The price is relatively low for the amount of shots he's taking. If he's inefficient like he has been, unfortunately, he's become pretty scoring dependent. But if he starts hitting those shots, he does actually have the upside. On the Atlanta side, we've got Trae Young once again as a potential stud. It's going to be a lot easier to fit him now, especially with I'm actually going to raise him a little bit. But Memphis is a team that have really struggled against point guards. So I think Trae Young could really do some dirty work here. I'm going to raise him up to 40 minutes, assuming we have a close game that's back and forth. And I think that's going to make Trae project to be one of the top studs. I think I do like him a little more than Harden, so I have to make that adjustment to reflect that, especially on FanDuel at 9.9. We did hear that Cam Redish is out, so I'm just going to make a little note of it. Or, no, I'm sorry, I think he's not out officially. Is he doubtful? Let me just recheck that note. Well, Drummond's officially out, for anybody that was wondering. Doubtful is typically a more reliable tag. The Cavs are going to start Sexton, Porter Jr., Osman, Nance, and Love. So I'm cool with that. Yeah, Cam Reddish is doubtful. That's right. Okay. So we'll make the adjustments accordingly. So I'm going to move him down to 0. I do think that means that we could see Fernando and Damian Jones play a little bit more. I think Kevin Huerter is likely to see a boost in minutes as well. I think Hunter is probably not going to come off the court very much, I would imagine. Maybe we see Vince Carter more. Maybe we see more of these situations. Again, I'll go back and kind of retweak on the break and just kind of compare do some research and see what needs to be done. But in the meantime, this is where we're at. I don't anticipate a value option opening up that I really like, but I do think that's just one more or less player. I think Bruno will play a little bit more. Maybe Damian Jones gets more time at the 5 and Collins plays more 4. But I think it does lead to Kevin Huerter end up getting like a lot of minutes today. And obviously, I think it helps Trae Young. So that's something that I am going to be incorporating here. Let me just make a quick change to some of this stuff here. All right. So, yeah, this is a game stackable game. Absolutely a game stackable game. Should be close. Both teams are not very good. Both teams play very fast. Neither team plays defense. And now Atlanta just got a little bit shorter. So I'm good with those. Let's go on to the next. I'm going to pop in the chat real quick and just kind of touch base and see. Got to be in tune with the nation. Got to be in tune with the nation. All right, let's see. MG. Who plays the 4 for Orlando? It looks like Gary Clark, bro. I don't know. It looks like Gary Clark. That's what it looks like. Again, appreciate those of you who have filed in a little later. Better late than never. That's the motto. If you could hit that like button, guys. We got a lot of you in here, and there's not a lot of likes. We can get the like button up. That really, really supports us, allows us to continue to do the free content. So please hit that like button. Frank Corona, these early game injuries been killing me. I'll take these dudes making it to the third quarter at this point. I feel you, Frank. Yeah, you're right. And that's one of the reasons that I kind of like the Cleveland value is because I feel like, number one, they're really low on bodies. And number two, outside of Kevin Love, I think the other guys are likely to play in a blowout. Guys like Larry Nance, guys like Kevin Porter Jr., I think they're likely to play in a blowout. That's why I like those two so much. But I do agree. I don't want this to take me off of too much of the Memphis value. I don't want it to take me too much off of the Spurs value. That was something that I had my eye on the early slate, hence the Rudy Gay thumbnail. So I don't want it to take me too far off those guys, but we have to respect the changes and really analyze them thoroughly. So we'll have to wait and see. What else we got here? MG, who plays the 4. Gary Clark's going to get the start, but we've seen Kem Birch in this role. We've seen them play Wundu in this role. So it doesn't mean that he's going to get all of the run. But yeah, Gary Clark or Kem Birch, I would think would be the main dudes, like you said. Conley and Royce O'Neal, Courtney Parker says, yeah, I'm okay with it. I like Conley. I actually do. There's a lot of really good spots here. Like, I think at this point it'd be a little harder for me to play him over Markelle Fultz. But, I mean, there's a possibility that Fultz doesn't actually get any run. Juice or any extra run. I just think when he's on the court, his usage should be higher because to fill the void of Aaron Gordon. Juice, Augustine feels sneaky. Yeah, I can totally see it, bro. Especially if Fultz gets into foul trouble trying to cover McCallum or whatever the case may be. Or we've seen them play Augustine and him together. So if one of those guys, Ross or Gordon, struggle, we could see more for Augustine, and I would anticipate his usage to be up as well. Tejas, so you really like Vooch. I do. He shows the best usage increase with Gordon off the court. I think Whiteside is going to have difficulty defending him around the perimeter. Whiteside is not one of those bigs that's comfortable out there. So I do think Vooch will have his way out there. Vooch or Val? Ooh, at this point, I got to lean Vooch. Kyle Parker asked that question. I got to lean Vooch at this point because he's got a boost. Joe Val doesn't really, unless somebody gets ruled out, Joe Val, in my opinion, doesn't really have that much of a boost. He's just a good play in a good spot, but his minutes are also very volatile. Vooch's minutes ain't going nowhere. If anything, they may increase. And now we were looking at, a 4.5% usage increase with Aaron Gordon out. So, yeah, for me, I would pick Vooch for sure. Mercamil, Drummond out. Yes, appreciate the update. He is officially out at this point. Arizona Drama, what's up, bro? Smashed last night's slate at Napier, Rose, Powell, Beal. Oh, it's a damn shame with Rose, man. Rose got hurt, didn't he? So you put up Hachimura, Grant, Jokic. Final score was 389.9. That's awesome. It's a damn shame, too, because if Rose didn't get hurt, it would have been he could have been in the 400, right? Arizona, can you tell me what players put in tonight? There you go, Arizona. Do the dirty, bro. Do the dirty. Keep it rolling. Do the dirty. Keep it rolling. I'm going to go back to the games. Keep piling your questions, and I'll try to get to them as we can. But we got to get through these games. Hit the like button if you haven't already, guys. Much appreciated. And let's go ahead and get into this. So, next game up. We've got the Milwaukee Bucks and the Miami Heat. So let's take a look. We've got a 227.5 total, up from 226.5. The Bucks opened up -3. They're up to -4. These are two teams we expect to be in the playoffs, at least representing the East. As far as the schedule goes, this is a back end of a back-to-back for Milwaukee in the midst of a 3-4. Miami's had a day off, but it is a 4-6 for them. Middleton is now probable. He's got to be the most fresh. He's missed a couple games. The rest of his teammates played yesterday. I'm cool with Middleton. He's probably the main guy I'd look at from this team outside of Giannis. Giannis is obviously always going to be number one from this team. It should be a close game, so you can make a strong argument to play him. You're going to have the value to make him work, even with a Luka Doncic or James Harden or Trae Young, whatever the case may be. Yesterday, without Middleton on the court, Giannis went with 40 and 20, I think, 20 rebounds, 41 actual points, went for 77.5 DraftKings points, just a monster day. He got 35 minutes. You don't see that all the time. He got 35 minutes. So if this game is close, you would anticipate his minutes to be around 33, 34, maybe higher. If the game is not, they're going to be limited with him like they always do. But I'm fine with working in some Giannis, and I'm actually okay with Middleton. We just have really strong options surrounded by him that now get a boost with players out. On the Miami side, Goran Dragic, interesting point guard. I'm still getting some of him, not as much as I was. I think Butler makes for a phenomenal mid-tier play at 7.5 on DraftKings. I don't mind his 8K FanDuel price either. I do expect Butler to play. Miami's the side that's getting paced up here, right? Like as far as the pace boost goes, Miami's the side getting a dramatic pace boost. They actually play really slow themselves, so Milwaukee's getting a pace decline, I guess, however you would say it. I think Duncan Robinson is an interesting value play. Now, we have a lot out there, but that's definitely going to make sure Robinson is extremely low owned. This is a team that gives up a lot of threes because they collapse around the basket when a point guard tries to get in. So this is a spot where he could end up playing a ceiling in minutes, and if he's hitting those threes, if he's efficient, he'll keep shooting them, and that's going to be massive upside, especially on DraftKings where you get a little extra half a point for the three-pointers. Bam Adebayo, I don't mind at all. Tough to justify with Vooch so close in price to him and expected to get that bump, but obviously a fine pivot, if you will. On DraftKings, the price is reasonable. On FanDuel, I don't love the price, but I like the fact that he's power forward eligible over there. So it's mainly Butler and Dragic, and maybe take some chances on Duncan Robinson. But for the most part, we got a lot going on. This slate just got wild. We're going good on time. Shit, I thought we were slacking on some time. We're going good on time, man. I like it. Teja says, I play a DFS app called Prize Picks where you pick under over on projections. Yeah, that is actually something that I wouldn't mind doing on this show. But, in certain situations, obviously. Can't just do it all the time. But maybe we could do some of that with you guys. I'll probably pick. I do want to run some contests and do some giveaways. So maybe that'll be our next giveaway as we do it over or under on a projection. Maybe we could even do it where you actually pick the play. I don't know. We'll see. We'll think of something. We'll think of something. Arizona Drama. I'm on FanDuel. I'm currently building my lineup. Fade Giannis or play him. I mean, Middleton's back. I'm never going to say to fade Giannis. I do not, out of all the studs there are, I do prioritize Luka over him with Porzingis out. I like Trae Young a whole lot with Cam Reddish out, and just in general because the matchup. But I'll never say to fade him. You know what I mean? I didn't get a chance to check Arizona Drama again. I didn't get a chance to check injuries. Who's all out tonight? I know Redish, Drummond, Porzingis. Who else? Zach LaVine, bro. Zach LaVine. We'll get to that game in a second, but Zach LaVine is doubtful. He's not officially out, but he is doubtful, so we're expecting him to miss. Okay. So let's keep things rolling. Hit that like button if you haven't already. You'll hear me say that throughout the show because that's how much it fucking means. We also got the super chat thing open. I'm not too familiar with that stuff, but I was told we should have that thing open at all times. So we do what we do. So it's up there, whatever that means. But obviously, if you do that, I'll make sure to stop and ask your question, whatever the case is. But to be honest with you, I'm not totally sure what that shit means. Next up, we got Dallas and Chicago. So these next two games are very interesting. They're two of the later games, right? 8 p.m. start for this Dallas one, and then we have 8:30 the last game. Late night hammer at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. That sounds like a good day to go to sleep early. Of course, I never do. So I'll be up to no good most likely tonight. With that said, let's pull up Dallas. Again, this is looking totally different this time around with the projections. So we have a 221 total. It's dropped 3.5 points with the Porzingis news. Ironically, in the LaVine news, that's two big-time scorers who are now out. Let me see. Looks like we're getting some news. Let me just make sure there's nothing that pertains to this slate. Hey, Baca, Van Fleet. All guys that play tomorrow, so nothing crazy. Anthony Simons is probable. We'll get there. But regardless, we have a 221 total, dropped 3.5 points. That's down from LaVine's absence, combination of Porzingis being out. Dallas opened up -3.5, they're up to -6.5 again. I think that there's a reflection off of, what's his name, Zach LaVine being out. In terms of schedule, Dallas is on the back end of a back-to-back. It's a 3-4 and a 4-6. Very tough part in the schedule. However, Luka, probably the most rested, being that he didn't play yesterday. Chicago is working with a day off. Nothing special, nothing terrible. It's a day off. Starting with the Dallas side as we start with the road teams. Maxi Kleber makes for a solid value play today. Should play a lot of center. Willie Cauley-Stein is back with the team. He's probable. He was out for personal reasons. He's back. He wasn't really in the rotation a ton. This is obviously historically a good matchup for centers. So I'm okay with taking some shots on him if you want to. I just don't know if that is the value that we need. But certainly viable. Maxi Kleber much easier to play, even though he's more expensive. Power forward eligibility on both sides goes a long way in a slate like this, especially on FanDuel where you get one center. And on DraftKings, just easier to roster. The question is, how does he grade out in comparison to the other value we have? And to be honest, he wasn't grading out that great for me. Even with the injuries, the only player I was getting any substantial ownership of was Luka Doncic. I think he's underpriced as is, even if Porzingis was in. Now you factor in Porzingis being out. I don't see how I don't play 80-90% of Luka Doncic. And, that could ultimately burn me. I expect him to be the most popular stud because Porzingis is absence. But this is a slate where you can get two studs. The ceiling's too high. The usage is going to be too massive. And it's the team. And it's interesting to me that the spread is even that tight. So even 6.5, I think it's tight enough on the road. So I'll have a whole lot of Luka. We have seen him kind of like, not do well in blowouts. Get pulled early, 25 minutes, and get pulled. We've also seen him play a team like Golden State and just smash in like 28 minutes, 26 minutes, go for 60 or 70. So that's what we're looking for today. Remember, he's only 10-3 and 10-4. So I think it's feasible even if this game gets ugly. But yeah, Luka, top stud on the slate, in my opinion, the guy that I will have the most of, no doubt. Question from Ranimal16. Can't find several players in projections list. Harden and Rudy Gay, for instance. Ranimal, this is in our WiseTake Wisestream chat. I'll check it out right now because that is important. I want to make sure you guys have access to that. I'm assuming you're talking about our projections. So let me see. Oh, okay. Yep, you're right. You're absolutely right. There's something I got to do. Glad you called it out. That's my dude. All right. I don't know why he's not showing up on the regular, but I'm going to make an update now to make sure everything is working. With all these shifts. No, it's still 380. Maybe we got some extras here. No, nothing there either. So what it is. 380. All right, let me take a look here. Oh, yeah, I don't know why that didn't update. 380. All right, let's check the other one. Yeah, same thing on this. Okay, so for some reason they didn't update from earlier. All right, Ranimal, appreciate you pointing out to me, bro. Appreciate it. Now go look. You should see everybody that was missing before. So shout out to Ranimal. Those of you who subscribe to WiseTake.com, Ranimal to save the day. By pointing that out to me. But you should be good to go now. Go check it out. Shouldn't be an issue. Let me just... I think on this pod sheet, it's the same thing. I think on the pod sheet, it's fine. And they pull from those projections? Yep. Okay, so we're good there. We're good on the pod sheet. It was just missing from the display sheet on WiseTake.com. But Ranimal, shout out to you for saving the day. I'm sure everybody was kind of wondering what the hell was going on. And when you go in there and look, the projections look totally different. You're going to see a lot of magic up top. And of course, you should still see some of the other players like Larry Nance and all them dudes. Let me just refresh this real quick. Yeah, there you go. Larry Nance, Kevin Porter, Rudy Gay, Zizic is up there, Trey Lyles, Shaq Harrison. I don't think I'm going to do too much of that. But, okay, go check now, refresh it. You should see him. And let me know if for any reason you don't, Ranimal. Hopefully you're still in there. Let's see. With that said, let's go to the Chicago side. On the Chicago side, we know Zach LaVine is out. That's obviously a pretty big deal. Shaq Harrison, not a guy they seem to want to give too many minutes to, but at min price, he's going to project for 6x. Thaddeus Young is very interesting for tournaments, especially with Porzingis out of there. He was actually one of the players that showed a decent usage increase. Let me take a look here. We will go to Dallas. Oh, I'm sorry, Chicago. Need to go to Chicago. Chi-Town, right? Chicago. Let's go. Let's remove LaVine. Otto Porter is back. Luke Cornett is still out. Lauri Markkanen. Where are you at, Lauri? Oh, Chris Dunn is still out. They're still missing people. They're getting some back, but they're still missing people. And obviously LaVine being gone is just massive. So, Kobe White, 30.7% usage rate with Zach LaVine off the court. I love Kobe White today. I think they're going to end up having to use him quite a bit. I think he's going to take a lot of shots. I obviously overprojected his minutes, and maybe not. Maybe he does play that high of minutes with no LaVine. But I needed to make sure that it reflected that we like him and that we want him. And obviously, if you are playing a lot of Luka, he's going to have a big game in order for this game to stay at least somewhat close. So I do want to make sure that we have his, because the usage increase is solid. Let me see here. Do what we got to do to make those adjustments. So let's look at the rest of the team. Thaddeus Young, 21.9% usage rate, 0.99 fantasy points per minute. Denzel Valentine actually does get a big boost. However, I'm not sure that they're committed to playing him any more minutes. Satoransky on a very small sample, 19.1% usage rate. But as far as increases, Chandler Hutchison, who's out. Ooh, yep, that's another player that's out. Chandler Hutchison. At a certain point, you deal with small samples. Levine plays so many minutes, and it's rare that he misses a game. Now, this is what's interesting. Now we removed Hutchison like he should have been gone to begin with, and Thaddeus Young goes up to 24.2% usage with a 1.04 fantasy points per minute. Take that for what you will. In terms of the usage increases, Thaddeus Young 4.5%, Kobe White 6.2%. So Kobe White definitely a player I want to load up on. And for game stack purposes, I don't mind incorporating Thaddeus Young, but again, we have a lot of value to get to. So I'm actually going to give him a little bit of a boost here, Thad Young, to make sure. I'd like to get at least some. His price is elevated. I'd like to get at least some. But Kobe White is the mainstay. He's the guy that I want the most of from this particular situation. And he's the one that demonstrated the highest usage increase. So I'm comfortable with that. Let's go on to the final game. Pop in the chat real quick. I like this stuff, man. I like this. You guys are hilarious, bro. You guys are hilarious. Dwayne James, looking good, big dog. Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you guys, man. I appreciate you all. GQ Rock 007, what's up, bro? Rate your top 5 studs for tonight. I think Luka's number 1. I would say Trae Young, I want to say, is number 2. Then it's tough. James Harden, Russell Westbrook, and McCallum. Sorting the order of those 3 is difficult. I do think McCollum's price has come up to a point where it makes you uncomfortable to pay it. With that said, we understand his usage rate right now is massive. So I think that's how, as far as stats, depends on what you consider a stud. Do you consider Vooch a stud? Because if you consider Vooch a stud, I like him a ton today as well. But I can tell you right now, Luka will be the one I have the most of. And then after that, I think it's going to be Trae Young. And kind of go accordingly from there. I'll have some McCallum, but I don't think he's going to be... I'm not going to have as much as some of these other options because we have value. We can reach the top. Why not? Dwayne James, appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you. Dropping 7s on him. Arizona Drama, thoughts on Gobert? So we talked a little bit about him earlier. The price is fine. He's obviously not a huge usage type player, but the matchup is just cupcake for him. It really is. The matchup is cupcake for him. So I'm fine with Gobert. Yvonne Abdullah, good afternoon. What do you think about John Collins and John Morant? I'm good with them for tournaments. I am. I'm good for them for tournaments. I think Collins is going to play a lot of minutes. That game looks awesome. And John Morant as well. I like how they correlate in the same game. You need one team to stay close, keep pace with the other to go. So I'm fine with that pairing for tournaments. Absolutely. I wouldn't play him in cash, obviously, but in tournaments, I'm fine with that pairing 100%. I like other plays better, just to be completely transparent. I'm not saying I'm going to have a ton of them personally because I have other guys who project better for us, who I'm going to end up getting more of, but I'm good working them into tournament lineups. And if you're only building a couple teams in a tournament, you're trying to get different, I think that's fine. Frank Corona, Dorian Finney-Smith seems like a really strong value play tonight. Let's check it out, Frank. You're a WiseTake Nation member. I'm gonna actually look into this now. I'll literally pull up Dallas. We got some time. We only got one game left to cover. Let's pull up Dallas and actually take a genuine look at this. No Powell. Maybe Boban gets run today. I'm not going to chance it, but maybe. No Jalen Brunson. No Porzingis. So Dorian Finney-Smith only showing a 12.1% usage rate, 0.71 fantasy points per minute. When I like Dorian Finney-Smith is when Luka is out. When Luka is out, that's when DFS typically has like an even bigger usage increase, and we have a lot of players that you'd be playing over him at the in that sense. So I'm not saying like no, don't do it, because we've seen situations where he has, and I think that he's likely to see an increase in minutes because Porzingis' absence. But I do have other guys ranked higher than him at the moment, Frank. Just to be clear, to explain to you why I like Luka so much. Luka Doncic with Porzingis off the court. Obviously, Brunson, Powell, 42% usage rate, 1.84 fantasy points per minute. We're talking about a 254.8 minute sample as well. So, decent sample, good usage, everything kind of lining up. All right, let's go over to our final game here, right? Final game, and then I'll spend the rest of the time bullshitting with you guys in the chat, because that's what I like to do. I like to bullshit with you guys. It's fun. Hold on 1 second. My dog's having a little doggy nightmare. Three-month-old puppy, man. He's having nightmares. What can I do? I got to make sure he's all right. He's sitting there crying and twitching on the floor. But he's good. We good. Woke him up. We just got to wake him up. Bring him back to reality. Like, bro, you're adopted. You're not on the streets no more. You're still a puppy. It's all good. I'm giving you bones and shit. All right. With that said, let's get to the last game, which is the Indiana Pacers and the San Antonio Spurs. So initially, when we did the early look, for those of you who remember, it does look like Bruno Fernando will start if Cam Reddish is ruled out. So it says if, which we know he's doubtful. But what that's going to do is put Hunter at the 3 a lot more, and I think he's locked into that. I think he'll play a ton of minutes at the 3 as long as the game's competitive. And then I think Collins will play more 4. Expect Collins to still play some 5, but definitely, stuff we have to note. All right, so this game, initially when we did the early look show, San Antonio was my favorite value spots, and a lot of them still are. I'll explain why. But obviously, my ownership before, I was getting like 80-90% of San Antonio. Now it's dropped a little bit. Still substantial, though, and I like the fact that it's a late-night game. I know for sure that all this other value stuff is going to pull people off of the San Antonio situation, and for good reason. This game is not nearly as attractive as some of the other ones out there that have value opened up. With that said, we have a 221.5 total. The Pacers opened up -2. They're down -2.5. They're down to -2. San Antonio is on the front end of a back-to-back. They have a game tomorrow. Keep that in mind. If this game does happen to get ugly, they will bail, but I think this game will stay tight. It's got a 2-point spread. The Pacers have had a day off. They're in a 3-5, but they've had a day off. Assuming Oladipo plays, I'm okay with them, but obviously looking at his numbers from this season, he's having a hard time actually producing, but the usage is definitely there, so we don't want to give up on him. I probably have him under-projected. I may make some adjustments during the break. I think Miles Turner is a fine candidate at center. He's been playing really well. He's not a guy I typically like to play, but he's been playing a lot better lately. San Antonio gives up a ton of points in the paint, and they're missing 2 centers now, missing Aldridge and Podol. With that said, I don't see how they're going to stop Sabonis in any way. I think he's a stud candidate. It's going to be really low owned while everybody kind of goes to the top. In these situations where everybody gets so stars and scrubsy, there's always merit to like not going to the tippy top and going to like those upper end guys that are still kind of like upper mid tier, low end value kind of. And I think that Sabonis kind of fits that build today. Malcolm Brogdon, similarly to Elf, is just a fine tournament play with upside. TJ Warren has played really, really well lately, and his minutes have looked really strong. So getting some exposure to him, I'm cool with for sure. Now we're going to talk about the Spurs, right? Let's talk about some San Antonio action. So starting off, Trey Lyles played 40 minutes in that game that Podol got hurt. They're playing a team that has 2 very big players in Sabonis and Miles Turner. So I think this is another situation, unless they want to play Drew Eubanks, who drew 4 fouls in 16 minutes against Vooch. I think Trey Lyles is going to have to play big minutes once again. Rudy Gay played 28 minutes in his last game and looked really good. I'm willing to go back to Rudy Gay. I think he'll be matched up a little bit with TJ Warren potentially. Maybe he's the guy they tried to have to cover Sabonis. And in his prime, he was a good defender. Obviously hasn't been the same since his Achilles injury. But I'm assuming that they're going to play him just because they're low on bodies. I really do. I think that, you mean to tell me they're going to play like Eubanks more before they play a guy like Rudy Gay? I really don't think that's the case. So I like Lyles. I like Rudy Gay. I like DeJounte Murray at point guard. It's, we know LaMarcus Aldridge is out, so all these guys are getting a boost, and I think they may go a little lower owned or without too much attention. DeMar DeRozan's matchup is going to be a little difficult. They're obviously going to focus in on him, but his price is reflectant of the spot. So I think that with no LMA, even though his usage wasn't as up as I would expect the last 2 games of no LMA, I expect him to have a good day. His assist numbers have been up in this situation, so I do like DeRozan. I don't want to ignore the situation he's in because of everything we have. Late night hammer action, I do plan on getting some decent exposure to these guys, even though we have some of the other spots that we have. So if I give DeRozan a little bit of boost just to make sure he keeps pace, because right now I think we have Jimmy Butler actually projecting higher than him, which I don't mind, but maybe he shouldn't be so far back in that situation. So I gave DeRozan a little bit of a boost there. I expect the users to be there. And there's other guys. You want to consider Patty Mills for some low-owned value. Derek White, you can consider these. But Trey Lyles and Rudy Gay are the 2 value players I'll have the most of. And then after that, it's Murray and DeRozan. that I'm looking at. So I like the fact that it's late. I think all this news is going to pull some people off of this spot, at least the value spot. And, that sounds good to me for tournaments. You get a little bit of lower owned options. So I'm good with that the way it is. Let's see. We got a couple minutes here. Let's talk about this. Chris Tatri, hopefully I said that right. I tried to say it all fancy. Hopefully I said it right. Who's the biggest piece of trash on the slate? I love that question, man. I love that question. Biggest piece of trash. That's really tough. I mean, you have to get through certain teams, right? You got to get through teams like Cleveland, the New York Knicks, and I'm a Knicks fan, so I can say it. But there's a lot of teams you got to really dig through to get to the bottom of that question. Who's the biggest piece of trash on the slate? That's a loaded question. That can have its own show. Somebody could start a whole podcast about some of the worst players in the NBA, at least for DFS value. Tejas, Chris actually needs to know that because of my DFS app. Okay, fair enough. White or Sexton in a tournament? I'd probably go Kobe White, to be honest with you. But I'm a little biased. Mario Young asked that question. I'm a little biased because I'm going to have so much Luka, and White would help me correlate with that. GQ Rock 007. James Ennis could be a sneaky play without Gordon playing. Absolutely. I think all of these guys. I completely agree. Pepsi King, thanks for the update. If you're talking to me, no problem. If you're talking to the chat, that's what it's all about, that community aspect that we have. Tejas, why is there only 2 likes? There's got to be more likes. I agree. We're up to 31 likes. It's better. But I know y'all could do better. We got, 60-something people in here? And I expect that number to go up on part 2 of the show as we get closer to lock. Hit the like button. Much, much, much appreciated. Arizona Drama, Sabonis tonight. Yeah, man, we just talked. I think that he's definitely viable. This is a team that gives up a ton of points in the paint, and that's with Aldridge and Podol. You take those guys out, I would imagine they're even worse, because otherwise they would have been playing, right? Eubanks, Lyles, these guys would have been playing a lot more center if, it was a benefactor to them. So I do think that the Pacers bigs are definitely in a good spot, and I think that Sabonis' ownership is going to be low, because people are going to go high-low. They're going to have all this value, then they're going to be able to afford guys up top, and, I think that some of those higher-end guys are going to kind of go overlooked a little bit. That's just natural. It's a natural occurrence. It's just what happens. MG. Yeah, MG. OG MG from the WiseTake Nation. All right, we're going to take a little break. I got to update these projections, kind of finalize the news. We'll come back and take a look. So don't go nowhere. Hit the like button if you haven't already. We're going to be back with part 2. I'm going to bring Pauly D on. We'll answer more questions if we get a chance. We'll build some teams. And most importantly, we'll get Pauly D's thoughts and wait for more injury news to come out to make sure you guys are updated up until lock, man. It's the best we can do. This is a very reactive sport, so we want to make sure you have all the news possible leading you up until lock, to give you the same edge everyone else has that actually has time to pay attention and all that shit. So, like myself, I guess. So don't go nowhere. We'll be back. If you didn't hit the like button already, please hit it. We're going to play some background music while we transition to the next show. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back.
What we do here is go back.
What up, Nation? We are back with part 2 of the NBA Wise stream. Once again, CK here, joined by the GOAT, the true OG, Paulie D. For those who don't know, now you know, and you can find him on Twitter at Paulie with 8 D's. Paulie, we got a slate of madness. We talked briefly earlier, and I was telling you, this. And unfortunately, there was, fortunately or unfortunately, depends. We got hit with another plethora of news. So a lot going on the slate. A lot of injuries to discuss. I'm very, very curious to hear where you're landing on. As we kind of sift through, I think both of us are still kind of deciding that as we speak because some of the news was late, and there could be more on the way. We still got news that we could be getting. With that said, how you doing, Paulie?
Doing good, bro. Doing good. NBA's been a little wacky lately. Some late scratch shit. It's been a little frustrating. I got caught with Anthony Davis yesterday. Turned my attention away, assuming everything was good, and next thing I know, he got ruled out. But that is what it is. You got to commit yourself to that chair in front of the computer till every game is locked. And today's just been no different. It's just been news drop after news drop. Kind of do whatever you want. It's a pretty loaded slate for 7 games. I kind of know what I want to do, but literally, I think you could game stack every one of these games today. Like, there's not even one I want to cross off. There's like some that I like less than others, but like literally, I don't think that you could say like, nope, there's no way that this game isn't the best of the day, and be completely wrong. So, I kind of feel like getting some diversity and not overexposing to certain things because there's a lot out there is kind of like the approach I'm going to take. Like, normally I get a couple guys up over 60, 70% ownership, and like maybe today that only gets up to like 40 or 50 because there's a lot to choose from in similar price ranges.
I don't disagree at all, man. There's a lot. It's kind of hard. I mean, it's a 7-game slate, but it has the feel of like a 10, 11, 12-game slate because, this guy's optimal. Well, so is this guy. I mean, like, even a guy like CJ McCollum, who initially I was getting a lot of, now it's kind of hard to justify because, McCollum's usage is up, but if you can afford to go to a Luka with no Porzingis, if you could afford to go to, a Trae Young in this particular spot against Memphis, why wouldn't you? So I agree. It's kind of like, wait, do I definitely want to bail on my previous game plan all the way? Not all the way, but you do got to make some changes. So it's interesting. With that said, we have a lot of injuries. Before we even get into that, let's talk about some of the studs you like the most. We'll go studs, mid-tier value. Tough question. And like, even with the term stud, like, who are we considering a stud? There's Domantas Sabonis, who should be fairly low owned. There's what's his name? We got Vooch at 8.4. Is that considered a stud at this point? I don't know. How did he do it? I don't know. Talk to me about the studs, Paulie.
All right. Where do you want to cut this bitch off?
Shit. Oh man, should we cut it? I guess we should cut it at Vooch to make sure I guess 8K. I mean, because at what point do we do the mid tier? Like, at what point is the?
Yeah.
8K?
No, I think 8K is a good spot.
Hit me with it.
I'm cool with that.
Hard and long.
So, Luka's my favorite. No Porzingis. Bulls likely missing Levine. I think that's official, actually. Yeah, he's out. So, just going to be like a lot of up and down basketball. That's where he thrives. The rebound rate's going to be way up with no zinger. Coming off an extra day of rest. He's 10-3, likely going to triple-double. What's not to like here? They're on the road, so maybe the Bulls hang in, maybe him and Kobe White go back and forth. I do like the idea of pairing him with Kobe White quite a bit. Then it's kind of like a 3-way tie with, like, I guess I would give Harden the edge now that I think about it. I actually published Trae Young ahead of Harden like 5-10 minutes ago, but I actually do think I would lean Harden too cheap. And like against the Knicks are actually one of the better teams defending the rim now that like Mitch Robinson's getting 30 minutes a game. And that would kind of lend itself to more of a Harden shooting from the outside kind of day than a Westbrook taking it to the hole. And it's the Knicks who are just terrible, so Houston on the road should do what they want. But the Knicks have been playing well enough, and Houston's D is bad enough that I think the Knicks will stay in this game long enough to keep it close. So I would say Harden next, and then Trae Young and Giannis at like a 2-way tie for third place, where like Giannis, that extra 1,000, although it's not like a problem on the slate because we have plenty of value, like he does need to kind of outscore Harden, Luka, Trae Young by like 10 points to be the best play on the slate. And I'm not even sure if he's going to outscore any of them. So like it pushes him down. But like when you see the massive game he had yesterday, it's like hard to just say no to him. And then Trae Young, a one-man show, losing Cam Redish against a team that plays very fast and is terrible at guarding guards. That seems pretty elite also. So those four, I know it's like the top 4 most expensive guys, but they really stand out above the rest. I do think Vooch and Sabonis are also kind of interesting in that conversation because of their discounted price, but increased usage or matchup. For the discount, maybe you can fit like Vooch, Sabonis, and like two guys in the 8K range, and have one extra stud in the rest of the field, and maybe that's like a route. But realistically, I'm planning on having two of Trae Young, Luka Doncic, James Harden, or Giannis in the bulk of my lineups today.
Yeah, I can't argue, man. Especially because again, you're gonna have the money. We did just get we did just get word that Victor Oladipo has been ruled out. So that'll be another situation to address with the Pacers in that late night hammered game. Obviously, TJ Warren has been playing a ton of minutes. That's got to help him. I'm going to use that as a transition to the mid tier. Obviously, helps Sabonis as well. Talk to me about some of your mid tier options that you're looking at the most, if any.
So Kobe White, I'm like absolutely in love with the 5'8". Guy was already getting 30 minutes a game with 30% usage, and now we're going to take Levine and his massive usage off the court in an up and down transition type game against Dallas, who doesn't have much size anyway. So it's just going to be like this, multi guards from both sides running the floor. In that same breath, I also have similar interest to Tomas Satoransky. The Bulls just don't really have many options of guys to, pick up the usage. He can kind of score in multiple ways. Luka Doncic can get kind of turnover happy. So Satoransky, a guy who can take advantage of that. Just, a lot to like with such a high usage guy coming off the court for Chicago and them already being somewhat shorthanded. I do have my eye on Joe Val in a smash spot against Atlanta. Center's been doing the dirty to them, and he certainly has had a resurgence. That whole team finally got off the snide, won a big game this weekend, and I think they'll look to continue that in what should be a competitive game on the road. Mitch Robinson, he's 5,500 going up against Houston, who has absolutely no size. I wouldn't be shocked if he's announced in the starting lineup, and even if he's not, he's probably going to get close to that 25 minutes with very low risk of him getting into foul trouble because they don't have any size out there. DeJounte Murray, everybody from the Spurs is viable, but, the more thin they get, the more I think they just kind of let him have all the usage. Him and, what's his name? DeRozan. Who else do I like up in here? Kevin Huerter, you take Cam Reddish off. He just, was on his way to going absolutely ballistic, slowed down in the second half, but still, that's like, potentially 10 to 15 shots that him and Trae Young could absorb away from Reddish. The Cleveland Cavs being super short, Colin Sexton's probably in line for a ton of usage. There's no his backup as well. So, give me some of that. Give me some of that. Terrence Ross is 5'4". 2 games ago, he had like his best game of the year, reminiscent of what he did multiple times last year. Now you take Aaron Gordon off, and, even though I don't think he's going to be starting, I think he will play starters minutes against a Portland team that's top 5 in fantasy points allowed this year. So I do like him quite a bit. Elf, it's 6'7". Like I said, I think the Knicks keep it close. So, I like the idea of pairing him with one of the bigs, whether it's Randall or Mitch Robinson. And Jordan Clarkson, I do like him as well, kind of because I like all that Cleveland value. I think like him and blowout run could kind of go ham against his old team. I have interest in. There's a lot, but those are some of the ones that really stand out.
Well, after that, we got some. Not unfortunately, it's good we got news. But the Bulls starting lineup, Paulie: Tomas Satoransky, Denzel Valentine, Shaq Harrison, Thaddeus Young, Carter Jr. Kobe White is not going to start.
Okay. I still like him a ton.
I still like him a ton too. But how do you process this? Where are you at with Denzel Valentine? He's starting out. The Bulls have been known, just because you're starting doesn't mean you're going to get minutes. However, Valentine is a guy that scores. He's a guy that shoots. They need that. Zach LaVine is gone. Do you think that we're going to see Valentine get any substantial minutes today?
Absolutely. He's one of the best plays on the slate. I think I had him as like my third favorite value play before that news. So, yeah, he's min price.
Min price.
He's a 1.1 fantasy point per minute player when he's getting time. Like, yes, play him a lot.
Perfect transition into Value Town. Talk to me about the value that you're looking at on this sleazy.
Real quick, though, let's go back to that Bulls thing. So I would say that raises my interest in Satoransky, like, because he's going to have some time on the court to start the second half, start the game without White. You know, like, I initially, like, I put Satoransky in my core article first. And then, like, I thought about him, like, he's already been there. Kobe White's, you know, clearly the go-to guy. Like, you know, I was assuming Kobe White was starting. So I was like, why would I go Satoransky when this guy's got all the ceiling? But now that they're going to have some time off the court together, like, I think Satoransky could do a little bit better because he's not going to be losing it all to Kobe White. And then Shaq Harrison is also min-priced. You know, moving him into the starting lineup would make me think that they play him more than they have been, that 18-minute mark that they've kind of been capping him at recently. I still like Denzel more, but I think all four of those guys from Chicago are, like, ridiculously viable, and I wouldn't be shocked if all four were in the winning lineup today.
I don't disagree at all, man. I don't disagree at all. With that said, I mean, you obviously talked about your interest in the Dallas value, in the Chicago value, and I don't disagree. What are some of the other value options you're looking for or looking at?
Yeah, so Rudy Gay was my favorite. He might still be, you know, super impressed what I saw out of him over the weekend. You know, they let him go to 30 minutes. You know, Podol's now out. They're, you know, just kind of like falling apart at the seams. And, you know, a guy that they've kind of given up on, it's almost like, might as well just play this guy and not, like, ruin somebody else to injury. So, like, I don't see how they don't give him the same kind of run. And even though it's like Indy, you know, I don't think it really matters. Like, he's just way too cheap for the minutes and the usage that he's going to get. And, like, you know, Rudy Gay, when he is playing that kind of time, like, he does have big upside. He doesn't even have to shoot like a high percentage because just the usage is so high. He can do all the peripherals. That being said, like, there's a lot of tempting stuff at min price. Like, this may be a situation where I can get 3, you know, of my favorite studs into lineups pretty easily. So, Denzel Valentine, Zizic, Shaq Harrison, the Memphis value, Kyle Anderson, D'Anthony Melton, Trey Lyles from San Antonio, Bruno Fernando from Atlanta. They just won't raise his price, and he kind of continues to go for like 25 to 30 DraftKings points. Maxi Kleber with no Porzingis is certainly in play. You know, I can't stand this guy, but I think we even got to look at Cedi Osman at 3,900. From Orlando, like, I haven't decided quite. Maybe you can solve this for me, but, like, somebody's got to get a big boost here from Orlando. These value guys, like, who do you like the most value-wise from Orlando?
Value-wise, it's probably Ennis. Ennis would be number 1, I think. And then after that, it'd probably be like DJ Augustine. So, like, if they assume maybe something wild, right?
Right. Or, like, how about Mo Bamba? He's been balling lately. You know, I mean, they might play Wesson Wundu a bit, but, like, Mo Bamba, I don't know why. Like, they drafted him with the 6th pick, and they just never play him 20 minutes. Like, I know he's had some injuries, but it's been a while now. Like, are we ever going to, like, you know, free this guy, or is it just, you know, like, how many guys got to be out for Orlando to play him more than 20 minutes?
I agree. And I don't understand it, but I do agree. I'm not really sure why we haven't even, you know, I mean, I think we should have been at that point by now, but yeah,
right.
it just,
I mean,
you know.
He got 38 fantasy points in 17 minutes the other day against Atlanta. Like, you know, he doesn't need much. I would say today he's likely to get 16 to 20 more so than like just like 11 or 12, and he's 3,800. You know, like, he's certainly in play. It's just like, you know, I guess the ceiling's a little bit capped. You know, you got Gary Clark at min price who's starting. He's never been that exciting. He has popped off a few times in his career, but Yeah, I guess I would say James Ennis, but I think Mo Bamba or DJ Augustine would be next for me.
Yeah, I agree, man. That's actually Mo Bamba. I didn't really even consider much because I like Vooch a lot, but I think you make a really good point, man. And he, like you said, he doesn't need a lot to do a lot. So, I think that does make a lot of sense. At this point, I guess like just analyzing some of the value. Would you say that Chicago and San Antonio are your favorite? Like the value that you plan on having the most of at this point?
Chicago, I think, stands alone by far on its own, right?
Yeah.
Then like San Antonio tied for second, and then maybe like Orlando and Atlanta, or Memphis tied for third.
Yeah, makes sense. Real quick, shout out to our boy LD, OGLD, in the Ystream chat. Our boy T. Cameron has a question, Paulie. With Kobe White not starting, will he still be in the core?
Yes, I don't think that matters. He was playing
He hasn't
core worthy.
He hasn't been starting
before. No, he wasn't starting, but he was performing at a core worthy, production level already.
And if this game stays close, I would doubt he's not closing. Right? I'd be shocked if he didn't close.
He's 100% close. He was already closing.
Exactly. I'll let you hear me. I'm gonna look into the YouTube chat. We'll answer some more questions as we get our teams built, though. Our boy Nick got to take Vooch with no Gordon. I'm with that. Here we go, Tejish. All right, so you think Luka, Trey, and Sabonis are the best plays? I think that was actually a question from when I was on the back end of the show. Luka and Trey, I love, but I mean, I like Sabonis as well. It's just it's hard to rank him over those, especially now that you can possibly play 3 studs with all the value. It's hard to rank Sabonis up there with those guys, but I like Sabonis for low ownership. I know you had talked about Sabonis a little bit, but what are your thoughts on that situation?
So, like, the hardest thing for me there is, like, I'd rather just play Vooch at 8-4.
That was exactly my point. That was exactly my issue. I felt the same way.
But you might be able to get 4 guys in that 8K range. Vooch, Sabonis, whoever else is up there. I'm drawing a blank, like a Julius Randle type, something like that. Maybe you can even get to, like, McCallum at 9-3. And 4 value plays, and that'd be optimal if those guys ceiling out and higher end studs don't. But higher end studs are all just in really solid spots and situations today.
Talk to me about Larry Nance and Kevin Porter Jr. Because to be honest with you, outside, they're actually, I have a ton of Spurs, like Rudy Gay and Lyles. I have a lot of. I'm gonna have a lot of Valentine, Kobe White, some of these guys. But to be honest, I completely overlooked the fact that Nance and Porter, as of right now, project the actual best for me based off of their expectation. I mean, they're really thin in general. They're missing Garland. We know Drummond and Thompson are both out. Zizic wasn't even in the rotation. How many minutes do you really think that they want to throw at him? So if that's the case, and on top of that, if this game gets ugly, Kevin Love, you got to think is the first one off the court. So it's like, who are they left with? Talk to me about the Cleveland guys. How do they rank to the San Antonio-Chicago situation? And I agree with you. Chicago's on their own level because we're talking about min-price players. But I guess rank them up against the Spurs.
Okay. So that would be Cleveland and then Spurs. All right. I would go like Gay over Nance, Gay over all of them. Man, that's tight. That's a very good question. That's I gotta solve that. So like Gay, Nance, Murray, Porter, and Lyles are like the key guys to this situation, I would say, right, in terms of value. And they're not even like super strong value. They're like that mid-tierish value, like Nance at 5'2", DeJounte Murray at 5'5", Porter at 4'9", Lyles at 4'8". Man, I would say I would take Lyles over Nance, Gay over all of them. Man, probably I'm gonna rank that Gay, Lyles, Nance. Gay, Lyles, man. Is Nance starting? You're muted.
Fuck. Yes, Nance and Porter are both starting. Porter is starting at the 2. Nance is actually starting at the 4, and Kevin Love is going to be playing the 5, according to the lineup they released.
Man, those are just some solid plays on this slate at this point. Like,
oh, it's tough.
Yikes! And I'm telling you to play Gay the most, and he's not even going to start. That doesn't really sit very well with me. I'm having a really hard time ranking that. I'm gonna go Gay, Porter, Nance, Lyles, Murray.
I can't even argue. I think I can tell you that my top 5 value plays today are, and this isn't not in order. I'm just gonna throw the 5, and I think it's similar to yours, but it is Larry Nance, Kevin Porter, Rudy Gay, Trey Lyles, and Denzel Valentine. Those are my 5 like top value plays that I'm gonna have the most of in terms of value players. Ranking them is difficult for me. And even on a projection basis, it's hard not to, like, it's, even though like I want to have Gay and Lyles especially now, because I think with all this other news, their ownership has just dropped a little bit. And we always like getting that late night hammer exposure at lower ownership. However, it's hard to argue against Porter and Nance. Number one with Porter, because they've already said they want him to play a bigger role in the offense. They want him to play more minutes. And number 2, like you said, they are already starting. We know that they're going to at least start. We know that they don't have a ton left to back these guys up. And these are guys that would not be off limits in a blowout. These are 2 guys that definitely would play in a blowout. So I'm with you. It's really tough. The Spurs, it's hard for me to rank the Spurs over them simply because, other than game theory, simply because Pop is a douche. He's a great NBA coach. He is a horrible fantasy coach. I mean, come on. Well, how many times have we gotten dicked in the A from Pop? Like, let's be real. This year, we got podled the other day. You know, like,
dicked in the A from Pop.
You know how it goes.
Just get used to it.
That's life.
DFS.
That's life. We have to get used to it. That's just. But it is extremely, extremely tough to actually genuinely rank and feel confident about that ranking. It's easy to say, yo, those are my top 5 value plays, take it or leave it. That's easy. When I'm asked to rank them, that's when it's like, oh, hold up, give me a minute or two. You know.
Where you stand on like Kevin Love and DeMar DeRozan at the 7K range?
So Kevin Love, that's a great question with Kevin Love. Let me look and see, because I wanted to make sure I got some. DeRozan, I'm looking at around 30%. On a smaller slate, I'd have a little bit more. But obviously, with all the value, I do, as of right now, I kind of have Vooch over DeRozan. I'm looking at like 45% Vooch, 40% Vooch, and like 30% DeRozan. I think Jimmy Buckets is actually a pretty solid play here against Milwaukee. I don't want to ignore him. Matter of fact, let me make sure to adjust that projection just a little bit, because I think I have him a little over projected. And yeah, man, I think I do like DeRozan. I do like these guys. Kevin Love is the one that I'm glad you mentioned. I'm looking at about 10% of him. I think I'll raise that, but he's the one obviously I feel the least confident in, because like I said, when this game gets ugly, and I think it will, he's the first one off the court. It makes no sense to play him in that blowout situation. Like, they have Osman. They can play Nance at the 5. They can move Osman over. There's several different things that they can do. So that's kind of the situation that's how I see the situation playing out. So I'm not as excited about him. And again, like always, all this value opened up, and it kind of like forced me to like get off some of the guys I was higher on to start the day. That's just the situation. I'm having a hard time even loading up on other Magic players at this point. And they're playing Portland. I genuinely like them. It's just tough. It's tough. Where do you stand with DeRozan and these guys, man?
It's fact that.
It's fact. I mean, what about CJ McCollum? Like, are you going to have any of him?
Not much.
It's hard, bro. It's hard to justify it.
It's hard out here for a PM. But I like guys cheaper and I like guys more expensive. And you know me, that Portland point guard spot I do like, but damn, it's just not flowing for me today.
I agree. I got no bots to doubt it, son. No bots to doubt it.
I think Orlando's been like one of the worst teams against a point guard too since Fultz took over. It's like really juicy for McCallum.
Oh yeah,
real.
And exactly, that's the issue that I'm having is like for me to go, and we have all the value, so there's not an excuse as we couldn't afford him. You can easily overpay for him and not have a problem, not even feel it. I mean, I don't want to overreact and get too much of him, but I think it is a situation where I want some. And not to mention, bro, Portland's been terrible with ever since Dame got hurt. They've been fucking awful. But with Gordon being out, that gives Portland a very strong chance of being competitive in this game. So it's like you get a competitive game down to the wire. We could see McCallum play 43 minutes today. We've seen him do it already once. So it's just situations. Let me ask you a question about this. Who are some of the players that you don't have at this moment, or not a lot of anyway, and you're a little concerned about?
Okay. Russ, it's just
that's a good one.
my theory on how that's going to play out, that I would prefer Harden, but, Russ has been murdering it. Maxi Kleber, right? Like, there's no Porzingis. He's cheap. He could certainly go off, but I just like those guys we just talked about quite a bit more. Probably some of the Memphis mid-range, like Dylan Brooks, who's been shooting out of his mind all of a sudden. Kyle Anderson, like those guys, I'm kind of like not going to have a ton of, and that concerns me. Who else is in the mid-tier? A guy like Jimmy Butler, it said the 7K range, right? Like 7 to 8. Jimmy Butler, DeMar DeRozan, Kevin Love. Like, I'm not going to have much in the mid-tier, and that concerns me. Joval, who I like, who's been playing really well. Like, I'm going to kind of skip that range and go up into, like, either the 8K or all the way up. You got Ja Morant against Atlanta. You got Elf. You've got Tim Hardaway Jr. with no Porzingis. Like, those guys, I'm probably Malcolm Brogdon the most concerned of not getting a ton of.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. One player, while we're on the subject, that I'm not getting a lot of that is projecting to be, I mean, I'm seeing projections of like 40% owned is Joval. And, that's interesting to me because, I mean, he's got massive upside. He's been awesome. This is a smash spot. But his minutes are very volatile. If he's not fitting the flow, keeping the pace, he can only play 26 minutes, and they can elect to go with Gorgie Dieng or some other approach. But at the same time, I mean, 40%, I'm looking at 15 because of all the Vooch I have. I need to make an adjustment there. I need to make sure. If he's 40% owned and he goes nuts and I only have 15%, I'm fucked. Like, it's just like, I mean, he's underpriced. We can't argue that. Where are you at with a guy like that?
Like, I wouldn't get too crazy with that because just because the field is A, projecting him to be that popular, and B, like, on him, there are so many reasonable pivots that we just talked about. Like, the likelihood of him being that guy is slim, in my opinion, because, like, he doesn't do it that often. You know what I mean? Like, it's a good spot and all that, but there's, like, a lot that can happen here. There's a lot of pivots. I wouldn't, like, match the field just because the field is there. I'd almost say, like, that makes me not want as much of him, even though I did like him, because, like, the path to success on this slate is going to be differentiated.
I agree, and I'm with you. I'm not talking about matching the field, but I may try to get to like 20%, be at like halfway.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
Yeah.
Well, what's the order of value guys that the field is on?
So I'll just read some of the top projected owned guys. Value guys. Larry Nance would be the first one if you want to consider him value at 5.2. Rudy Gay is up here. He's like 5th on the list, but he is up here. Dylan Brooks I see at about 25-ish. Kevin Porter 17. Like, I don't necessarily agree with these. Denzel Valentine I can't even find on this list. 12% here at 3K.
I mean, they probably haven't updated because he just got announced as starter.
Yeah, that's a good point. Good point, Pimp. Good point. Good point, Pimp. Nance, Porter Jr., Valentine. How much Valentine you trying to play, bro?
40% or more.
That's what I'm talking about. Let's go.
He's not like how much Valentine, but like how much Valentine with Shaq, with Satoransky, with Kobe. Like, how do I dole out them and then them together?
Yeah, it's a really good point. Let me see how much. That's a good point. I need to make sure I'm getting some of these dudes, man. Like Shaq Harrison, I'm really not getting a ton of. Where is Satoransky? Did it not give me any Satoransky? I can't blame it. It's just a loaded slate. I mean,
Shaq Harrison could go for like 35 if he gets like the bigs.
Oh yeah,
you know what
yeah.
I mean? Like
no doubt.
You know, and like the Bulls like do have an outside shot at making the playoffs, but I don't even know if like they want that. Yeah, as like an organization. You know what I mean? Like they may tank because like one more solid draft pick addition. Like they added like a Zion type, they would be like the next hot thing on its way, kind of thing. So
Yeah.
I don't know where they're at organization.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And that's a shame too, man. That's a big reputation to live up to over there. The house that Michael Jordan built. All right, let me upload these. I made some adjustments based off what you said because I like what you said and how you said it. So I'm gonna make some adjustments here and try to force in a little bit more. And it's not even like I don't really have to do much to force them, but a little more Shaq Harrison to go along with my Denzel Valentine shares and kind of see where I'm at. I'm at around 60% Valentine, which feels a little risky, but I mean, he's 3K. It's just hard to really see him burning you unless he literally plays 5 minutes, and doesn't come back in the game. Which I mean, I would say there's a chance that happens. I just don't think there's a good chance that happens. So,
actual bodies do they have today?
Let's see. Chi-Town Bullies. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7, 8,
11.
9, yeah, 10, 11. Yeah, they got 11 guys projected for minutes.
Porter's actually playing today.
He is.
Like, what's his situation?
They said he's going to play off the bench anywhere from 16 to 22 minutes.
Okay, that's not enough at his price on DraftKings.
No, definitely not.
Like Arcidiacono, even though he's not starting, has gone for 25 to 30 a lot in the past. What's Wendell Carter Jr.'s minute expectation?
He's been on some sort of limit. I would imagine that they have to start slowly raising that at some point. He played, I know they said 20-minute limit, and he ended up playing 18. So I'm thinking that, he missed like almost a full month. So I would think that maybe 22 would be somewhere. In those 18 minutes, he grabbed 9 boards. So it's... but I would assume around 2022. I don't think they'd push him out the gate from 18 to 25 or anything like that. If they were going to do it, though, this would be the time to do it just because they need it. They're just thin. It's just a matter of not having enough
players. Right. They got nobody with any size. I guess Daniel before, right. But Jesus Christ.
Oh, yeah.
But NBA don't need bigs. You just go small. Dallas don't got no bigs, so it don't matter.
Agreed. Nation, if you haven't hit that like button, please hit that like button. A bunch of guys in here, we appreciate y'all. If you could hit that like button, it would be greatly appreciated. We did just get some news. I see some of you guys in there. Seth Curry has been ruled out. I believe JJ Barea is expected to start in his place, which is strange. But yeah, baby. Let me just see if I can get some. We got some other stuff. So the starting lineup for the Knicks: Alfred Payton, RJ Barrett, Harkless, Randall Gibson. The Rockets will start Westbrook, Harden, Covington, House, Tucker. Willie Cauley-Stein is officially available to play. Luka officially in. Seth Curry out. I don't see a starting lineup for Dallas. I thought I saw a note about him, but I don't actually see starting. I don't actually see a confirmed starting lineup. I'll check one other source. Oh, we wait for that. We're about 14 minutes from lock. So it's about almost about time to make sure them teams is built. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't have a confirmed starting lineup yet. So hold up on the beret unless somebody saw something from a beat writer. Maybe it was in the chat. I just saw it. Maybe. Anyway, we'll answer some questions while I make these updates. Let me scroll up to where we left off. Hit the like button, guys, if you haven't already. Much appreciated. Appreciate those of you who are coming out here. We got the super chat activated. Not really sure what that's all about, but I was told we need to have that on for the people that want to support us, so it is on. With that said, Shaq starting. Here we go. GQ Rock 007. Gotta choose a guard. DeRozan, Morant, or Alfred Payton. He spelled it Alfred. I like that. They spelled it Alfred Payton. I like that. Like from Batman, Alfred the Butler. GQ. I like that, bro. But anyway, DeRozan, Morant, or Payton?
Okay. DeRozan.
DeRozan. Let's see.
There's just like a reason why he would, do well. I think they're all very reasonable plays. I guess, how chalky is the rest of your lineup? Because DeRozan's probably going to be significantly higher owned than those two.
Right. Agreed.
I'd probably go Morant second, even coming off the best game of his life.
Yeah, no, that game is just too juicy. Those are all three really good options, though, for tournaments. DeRozan a little more optimal, obviously, with LMA out, but Elf and Morant.
Junior's out, right? Like, Elf doesn't have as much competition for minutes.
Yeah, just for a big titty Frank Nitty.
Titty Frank Nitty?
Titty Frank Nitty. Ian Thomas has a question. Thoughts on Mo Harkless?
I like him. I do. I'm glad you brought that up because I meant to talk about that. Like, this is the Rockets. Like, it's pretty much known around the NBA that Mo Harkless guards James Harden when they play. Harden still goes for 60 regardless, but he's kind of starting to do well in this Knicks role. I think he got like 30-something DraftKings points the other day. I think he's going to get minutes. I think the Knicks keep it close. Yeah, I do like him. Not more than most of these other value plays, so that's like 10% or more, less kind of situation.
But a guy you don't want to ignore by any means.
True that.
I feels you. I think that makes a lot of sense from a 7 perspective. We got 12 minutes to lock. We'll answer some questions, then it's time to build some squadrons. He meant Alfred. Alfred spell check. Yep, you got it. Juwan Holt, go gay over Nance. I think that's the great debate in Paulie's head right now. That's the great debate right now.
But yes, I would say yes to that, but try to have a lot of both.
Greek Freak, Harden. Wait a minute. Greek Freak, Harden, Doncic, and Trey. Out of Giannis, Harden, Doncic, and Trey, who are the best two to build around? That's from Ian Thomas.
Doncic and Harden, in my opinion, but it's very close.
Yeah. I like
all four.
Yeah, all four.
I'm gonna have.
I know. If I had to narrow it to 2 out of those 4, I lean towards Doncic and Trey. But like Paulie said, man, it's so tight. I want to have them because I can afford them. Mario Young, best minimum value.
That thinks that Harden tries to answer Giannis's big game yesterday and just.
Oh yeah.
Dirt.
In order of exposures, Luka's the stud I have the most of. Trey Young is second, and Harden's third. And it's not that far of a difference between Trey Young and Harden for me, at all. But I definitely, and it's the Garden in New York. There are really good strip clubs there, so maybe Harden shits the bed. We don't have that correlation with the strip clubs. But in all seriousness, Mario Young, best minimum value play. Frank Nitty, Harrison, or do you have another?
Denzel Valentine.
Denzel. I did see someone else has a pretty good question. Are we concerned about Denzel Valentine coming off of a hamstring injury? I think he wasn't playing because they just didn't want to play him. I don't think it was because of the injury, but any concerns?
Yeah, he was playing a little bit here and there. I don't know, but putting him in the starting lineup says like we plan to play him because we have nobody else. That's what it says to me.
Yeah, I could feel that. I could feel that hard and even long. Hard and long. All right, let me make an adjustment real quick. We have 10 minutes to lock nation. Time to get those squads in. We're going to build our teams and do dirties, and then we will, if there is time, answer a few more questions. We'd like to talk to the nation. If you haven't hit that like button, guys, I'm going to ask you again. Please smash it. Don't just hit it, smash it. Smash it. Like, if you break a keyboard, I'm not going to help you get a new one. But it would be a great story to tell at a party one day about how you were so down with the WiseTake Nation that you went to go smash that like button hard and long, and you broke that shit. That's just pimp status right there. Oh boy, no Seth Curry, so I got to make that adjustment as well. Shit. I mean, I would think that would mean Hardaway, for whatever it's worth, would get a little extra run there, right? There's got to be something else there now. No Seth Curry, who's been playing 33 minutes. No Jalen Brunson. I would think some of these guys have to get a little extra run at this point.
Indeed.
Who? I don't know. How do they do it? I don't know either. But we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 players projected for minutes from Dallas. But they do have guys like Courtney Lee. They got Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. Like, they have bodies. It's not the same. Like, they do have people that can play. It's not like they're just, sitting there chilling, dick in the hand status. We're not quite there yet.
D in the H status.
You know how it goes. I don't gotta tell you, Paulie. D in the H. It's D in the H. What are you gonna do? Do you like your boy Randall today?
A little, but
it's hard to compare
honestly,
him up against these other guys.
They've been rolling Bobby Portis out, Mitchell. Like, he's kind of like, it's nice. You're our best player. We dig you, bro, but we don't really need you that much.
Yeah. It's like, bro, the one thing is that we don't give a fuck about winning right now. So, and that's of course the issue. Fact, at this point,
we would prefer not to.
In fact, it would be in our best interest to not win anymore. Even though the Knicks can't draft worth a shit. Obviously, a lot of built-up frustrations from a couple of Knicks fans. Do you have any of your crunches done? I'm still curious to find out like some of the exposures and the value plays.
Plays
for me today.
I'll do it right now. 7 minutes. I might as well put one up there anyway.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, don't get stuck with your D in your H.
Hey, that's the motto, baby. That's the motto. Don't get stuck with the D and the H. That's it. That's it, baby. Any new news come in? Aldridge out, unlikely to play tomorrow as well. Kenrich Williams doubtful. We don't give a damn. The Heat will start Kendrick Nunn. Interesting. The Heat will start Kendrick Nunn, Jimmy Butler, Robinson, Jones Jr., and Adebayo. We did just get news that Drew Eubanks is going to start for the Spurs. I mean, like, wow. I feel like they kind of had to with that, because you got no center. You got two centers on one side, you got none on the other. But that Eubanks dude, who is very cheap, and I don't mind taking shots on. One thing I will say, just to kind of for everyone to keep in mind, that he drew 4 fouls in 16 minutes against Vooch, and if you're guarding Turner, it may not be that big a deal. But if he gets any of Sabonis, he's in for it. Like he's you know what I'm saying? If he gets any of Sabonis, it's gonna be a tough one, like buddies and buckets. All right, I think I'm just gonna have to upload this for now. Close my eyes, pray for the best. And, kind of take it from there.
Yeah. I feel you.
Feel you. All right, so let me check. Oh, what did I just do? What did I just do? Oh, we good. All right. 5 minutes.
What's your favorite game stack out there?
It's got to be the Atlanta game. Honestly, like going by my exposures, I should be saying that it's the Dallas-Chicago game, but that's obviously for value purposes. Like true GPP game stack, it's got to be the Memphis-Atlanta. I just think that game's going to be played at a crazy pace. Like plummeting type shit.
Mm-hmm. So, of the value plays, I'm getting the most Valentine, then Porter, then Gay, then Nance, then Trey Lyles.
I wonder if the Spurs are going to drop their starting lineup on us, because now I'm a little curious as to what their plans may be for Lyles at this point.
He's going to start at the 4.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Sure enough. I keep my hand on my gun because they got me on the run. Yeah, you haven't dropped that one on you in a while, huh? It's a little Snoop Dogg action. All right, here we go. I got to get this up ASAP. 4 minutes to lock, nation. Make sure your teams are set. And we will let you know if we see a starting lineup from the Spurs to do dirt and dirds. Reset that. Come on down here to Projection City. 4 minutes. Gotta get it in, though. 4 minutes. Gotta get it in, though. All right, let's see. Harden long. Harden long. All right, 3 minutes. Let's see. I'm going to build them now. Build them now. Don't get caught with your in your hands. In your hands. Let's go. Yeah. 3 minutes left to lock, Nation. Make sure you get your teams in. We are finalizing ours ourselves. How many teams you playing today, yo?
88.
88. 838s. I like it. I feel good about that. Trey Lyles is not projecting for as high ownership as I thought. I guess because we have everything else opened up. But, I mean, that dude played 40 minutes last game, right? Like, he's the one they prefer, I would think.
Yeah.
But I got to talk. Luckily, that game is late, and we play on DraftKings primarily, so we'll be able to, make those moves and whatnot. What time is? I wonder what time that Chicago game is.
I do too, actually. Good call. Let me know.
I'm gonna let you know in a second. As soon as I do this upplay, we got 2 minutes, Nation. 2 minutes. All right, uploaded. It's 8 o'clock. Good. So we actually have a little bit of time. Oh, those are the 2 last games, Chicago. Dude, our slate, it doesn't start really until 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock, and then 8:30 is the last game, and that's it. So on the bright side, we have some time. That's a positive. Got some time to make these decisions. Time to make these decisions. All right. So right now I'm looking at let me see here. I'm looking at about 51% Shaq, 48% Denzel. I'm surprised that flip-flopped on me. 44% Kobe White. I do got to make a decision on the Trey Lyles situation. Now, again, I'm assuming that they may have put something out. Oh, T-Cam, and I completely whiffed on this one. We are still on White. Yeah, we're still on White. Gay, yeah, we're good with Gay. Top value center under 6,500 on FanDuel. Oof, it's a tough one. Oh, Cameron was going to ask about Randall. That's good. Shit, I bet. Let me see here.
Probably Miles Turner.
Yeah, I would think so. In my head, that's kind of what I was thinking. But they've got under 6'5".
Mitch Robinson.
Yeah, Miles Turner number 1. Mitch Robinson an option.
Mitch Robinson.
I mean,
Mitch Robinson.
Yeah, maybe we can consider. This is unrelated to that question, but where are you at with Drew Eubanks, man? Like, this is a guy we obviously haven't seen a lot of, but he is min price. I don't even with him starting, it's hard for me to envision him playing more than 22 minutes max, and that's an if. He can only get 16 or whatever.
I mean, he's been doing well in the G League. I've seen this guy kind of coming for a little bit. It's kind of interesting that they, didn't really give Total any run when they went small. This opponent, they're going to need him, but foul trouble is certainly a thing.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Yep, no doubt it. We are at Lock Nation. That is going to do it for us today. If you haven't hit already, on your way out, please hit that like button. We appreciate you guys. Obviously, sorry we couldn't get to all the questions, but we got to build our teams too. Shit. But we appreciate y'all who support us day in, day out through multiple shows. Hit that like button. It really helps us out. Goes a long way. And we'll be back at it tomorrow. This is just the start of the week, man. We do this Monday through Friday on the grind. And we do it 7 days a week at the WiseTake.com in terms of projections, content in general, and all that stuff. So we're going to get out of here. We appreciate y'all. Be on the lookout for news. Your night's not over yet. For Paulie D, for myself, the entire WiseTake Nation, as always, good luck.
Peace.